So hello all and welcome. And in this video, I would like to review a couple of videos I saw of Destiny talking about his open relationship. Now in these videos, he's at some point mocking those who call him out on his cuckoldry. He's mocking those who dare criticize his wonderful, progressive, post-modernist, morally superior views on everything, but especially relationships. Yeah, it's mocking those who are traditional and conservative and saying that they don't know what they're talking about, especially red-pilled men. Red-pill community, they don't know nothing. I got it made in the shade, baby. Look at my hot, awesome wife. And I'm able to bang other broads, which wasn't actually true. And she's able to bang other dudes, which, yeah, was true. And, we still have our relationship. You mean glorified roommates who occasionally bang, which actually isn't very much, because even though she's very young and a deviant and a degenerate and probably a sex addict, she's not sleeping with him very much, if at all. Just enough to keep him on the line so he'll continue to be the simp he is and pay all the bills while, she sows her wild oats and gets a green card. Oh, but those red pillars are wrong, baby! Yeah. So, it's very humorous to watch this, especially with what Destiny's going through now. Her moving back to Sweden and essentially dumping him and leaving him for another beta male who just happens to be better looking. And who is, I guess, more easily controlled, more malleable, more easily manipulated, has even less boundaries and less self-esteem than Destiny, which is hard to believe. But he just happens to be better looking. Yeah, and this woman has a preference for these type of dudes. This is her modus operandi. She gets with subpar guys, not very masculine, that are weak, and let her take the reins and run the relationship. Meanwhile, to get her sexual needs gratified, she bangs the Chads and the Tyrones, but she doesn't want to be with them long term because these guys wouldn't put up with her crap, and she knows it. So she gets with the beta guys to pay the bills anyway. But she's not going to stay loyal. She's not going to be able to stay loyal to them or be dutiful to them, just like she wasn't with Destiny. She gets with the weaklings that'll tolerate it. So this is very amusing to see, in hindsight, to look at these videos of him defending how awesome and wonderful his relationship is, and how we're all just envious of his cuckoldry. And by the way, it turns out, and I had heard this, but I wasn't 100% sure. I had heard that he was bisexual, so it turns out he is. So at times, if the dude is up for it, I'm wagering that he would be participating in the sex with Melina and some other dude, and perhaps even participating grotesquely, doing some of the things that only a woman would do while he's with her, with the dude. So they could probably have, considering how degenerate this guy is, polish the guy's knob together with each other. What a bonding experience between husband and wife. So anyway, let's check out video number 1. So let's check out a video where Destiny is defending his base, degenerate relationship with his wife. Okay, so I don't know who these people are. I don't think they're American based on their accents, but they are clearly leftist, liberal loons that are obviously on his side and have the same belief system that he does, so they don't really challenge him in any way. It's just a very friendly interview of the type that you would see between, I don't know, a CNN host and a Democrat. So let's see what Destiny has to say about his awesome, wonderful poly relationship.
Well, Steven may disagree because you're in an open relationship, correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, maybe they are American. I thought maybe they were foreigners, but all right, I'm thinking of another interview.
Yeah, we both fuck around. I mean, that's not...
That's not actually true, by the way. So she was in charge of everything. And as with most open marriages, and they don't have a marriage, by the way. I am not going to acknowledge their marriage as a marriage. It's not a marriage by any classical definition, by any definition, period. Marriage is between a man and a woman, and it is also monogamous. There is no such thing as an open marriage. That's oxymoronic. Marriages are closed. If you have an open marriage, it's not a marriage, okay? That's like if you have a ham and cheese sandwich without ham. How the hell is it a ham and cheese sandwich? It doesn't fit the definition. I'm going to call it ham and cheese sandwich anyway. I'll put some faux ham on there. So it's still ham and cheese. Is it actually ham? No. It's faux ham. But it's still ham and cheese. No, it's not. No, it's not.
That complicated, yeah.
You must get like so much shit on every stream and podcast you do with any red pillar.
Well,
I
yeah,
bet
because
that
now
they
the
just-
red pill, because the new weird red pill thing is this idea that like people should have like these one-ended open relationships, which are hilarious to me.
What is he actually talking about? So that's a straw man. I don't think red pill men in any large degree are one-sided open relationships. Oh, so he's talking about the men should be able to cheat. He's referencing like Kevin Samuels and some of these other dudes who push the idea of the high value man remaining a player after he gets married, and he's got all these options and you should be okay with that as a woman. These guys are just pandering to a particular segment of their audience, and that's total absurdity. I do not advocate for that for either men or women, and I don't think most red pill channels do either, and I don't consider Kevin Samuels, may he rest in peace, to be red pill. And I don't consider some of these other guys, the Fresh and the Fit, I don't consider them to be red pill guys either. They're just pandering this one-sided relationship to puff up and feed the egos of their male audience. It's total absurdity. It's nonsense. It's disingenuous. It's not red pill. So I don't think they're an accurate or fair representation. He is using them as a representation so that he can invalidate the opinions of those who disagree with his relationship. That's all he's doing.
So
that's really a false association there. He's representing a small minority of content creators who call themselves red pill, or people perceive as red pill, and maybe they don't even call themselves red pill, to essentially invalidate the arguments of the vast majority who do not agree with his lifestyle and also are not into this one-sided, the man should be able to cheat if he's high value relationship. So that's a false representation right there.
The sexual idea is basically that like no matter if I would have fucked like 100 women and the next night like my girl would have fucked one guy, like I would be like an eternal cuck, and that's just
No. Okay, so here's how the relationship is set up. She can bang anybody she wanted. And if she's currently, at this very moment, based on her word, which she just has to take her for her word, banging another dude like she's spinning a plate, and they currently have some kind of friends with benefits arrangement, then he's allowed to bang other broads. But if she's currently not continuously banging another guy, he's not allowed to. Which begs the question, okay, so does it work both ways? Like she can only bang other dudes if he already has somebody that he's banging continuously? No, of course not. Because these open relationships, at the end of the day, are all about focusing around and validating the woman and meeting her needs. So it's all about giving her as much power within the relationship as possible through sexual access. And in this manner, she's not only has control over how much sexual access he gets to her, which isn't very much, and she's off banging all these other dudes, but he's not allowed to bang other broads either, unless she gives permission, basically. Wow. So that's not really a true representation he's giving you right there of his relationship. She has all the hand.
But yeah, I mean that's how people view it. But
Yeah, that's exactly what I would expect from red pillars that you would.
So there's another dude talking, and his he's got that waffles. Okay, yeah.
Have these like discussions with. They would just fixate on your open relationship and just never give you like the time of day on it. They would have.
What does that mean? They're going to fixate and not give you the time of day. What do you mean? What does that mean? Not give him a chance to explain. I mean, Destiny constantly interrupts people. His nom de plume isn't actually being right. It's just stating the obvious in a very complex way, muddying the waters, and then disagreeing with everything you say, and not letting you speak or constantly interrupting you to try and break your train of thought. He cares about winning in his own mind and dominating other people. In his own mind, that is. But he's not really interested in being right. He doesn't care. Be right in his own mind. Dominating others. That is the sign of a person with very low self-esteem, which of course he would have to have if he allows this kind of relationship.
Go into it with a completely fixed mind.
Fixed mind. Oh, yeah. What do you mean? Oh, they're not willing to be open-minded? What do you mean? This is very funny coming from what are clearly lefties who can't think for themselves and are animus possessed more often than not. And many of them are ideologues and they don't think for themselves. They just refer to their ideology for ready-made talking points, cliche answers that are pre-prepared for them by others. Authority figures in government and academia and the mainstream media and such. So I find that amusing coming from this guy.
And just like grill you for all eternity just on this one thing, and they wouldn't talk about anything else. I haven't watched these discussions, but I would guess that's how they go down.
So you haven't watched these discussions, but you are laying out detail for detail how these discussions go down. Yeah, already this guy's a bad faith actor. I never watched these discussions, but this is how them discussions went. Oh, wait, I'm going to backpedal a bit and, cover myself, this is my imagining. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, oftentimes, yeah. But I mean, the problem is that the problem is there's not really much room to answer or argue about anything because people will just view any answer you give as like a cope. So like the idea is basically that you must be like completely and totally miserable and your life is horrible and you're crying and getting cucked every day, but any answer you give that it doesn't like basically confirm that as you just coping. So it's not really worth talking about.
Are you happy though? You didn't answer, but it's very interesting. They think I must be this, must be that, but I don't hear you saying that you are happy, that you're not miserable. Are you happy in your relationship? Clearly he was not. So they were right.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it worked for you.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Worked for you. I love it. I mean, at this point, how long had you been married when this interview happened? A year?
that's the important thing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my perspective is obviously we both like sex and...
Green card ain't kicked in yet. That's why it's still working. That's why she's still tolerating him and his rather unattractive ass.
Being only able to have sex with one person to me would be really sad.
Why? Why would that be sad? If you love that person, there's nothing sad about it. I've been two long-term relationships in my life, and one that was very long-term, and it was leading to marriage. I didn't change. She did. We got into the relationship wanting the same things, and then after 8 years, she's like, I don't really want kids anymore. I don't really want a family. Things have changed. And it's like, well, geez, okay. So we don't want the same things anymore. We have different values now. My values are the same. Yours are radically different. So we had to go our separate ways. And that was like 8 years of my life. She wasted 8 years of my life. But you don't hear anybody talking about that. No, my man is a sacrificial lamb. His life, his time can't be wasted. Only woman's can. Yeah. Okay. But it's great. Just got better. I mean, I knew what she wanted. She knew what I wanted. We cared about each other's desires and needs, and I did everything I could get to fulfill her needs up until a point. Were there things that she wanted to do that I really wasn't interested in? Very rarely. I'm not going to get into specifics, but I'm sure you can imagine. But generally speaking, if it was reasonable and within the realm of possibility and obviously not illegal, between two consenting adults, sure. Sometimes it was fun, sometimes not, but there wasn't really much desire or need for this, spicing up of things. So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't think this guy has ever experienced actual love. So I don't think he knows how much value and meaning and just pleasure that adds to being with that one person, which he seems to think is, a miserable existence.
It's kind of like you have
Yeah.
your cake and you have to eat it too,
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'd
right?
say that. I mean, obviously, there's a whole bunch of additional complications and everything that.
He doesn't want to. Actually, yes, you would. That is exactly what you're saying, but he doesn't want to admit that that's what it is because he knows full well that meaning exists for a reason. It's existed for a long time, and he knows that everybody knows you can't have your cake and eat it too. Nobody on the left will use that term. Because it's kind of a cell phone, right? Because if you say it, you really sound delusional, right? Because anybody with half a brain knows you can't. So he's trying to, redefine his relationship. It's not exactly that. It's a self-coat, which he said he doesn't do. But he's always accused of it. Yeah. Turns out that's exactly what he was doing.
Come in with doing an open relationship, of course, right?
Yeah.
Sure, like catching feelings, that type of thing.
Well, that's the thing.
Potentially.
Like, I get asked a lot of times on my channel if I go live about, what are my thoughts on polygamy? And I'm totally personally myself, like, I could only ever be monogamous. And I think that's just how I'm wired.
It's just how I'm wired, but I don't see anything wrong with polygamy. Yeah. Of course, because you're a radical individualist, right? Yeah. You're all about moral relativism, which, okay, it doesn't work for me, but I'm sure it can work for others. Not really, honey.
Understand that some people are going to be wired differently, and I don't think.
Clearly not. It was a marriage of convenience. Everybody knew it except him. Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Supposed Logic and Reason. Oh, yeah, lefties can be logical or reasonable. Just look at Destiny.
That monogamy should be forced upon everyone. So
What do you mean forced? Right, because people like this think everything is social construction, and they believe that any societal norms and traditions, be them cultural or otherwise, are actually an application of force, right? Yeah, via stigmatization and social pressure. So that's forcing people. Isn't that what you're doing now? Pushing your degenerate lefty ideology? It's the exact same thing. Yeah, but that's okay because it's my ideology and I believe in it and I like it and I love my life, which you really don't because you don't know what love is to begin with. You've never experienced anything else except what you have now, so you didn't really have any point of reference or comparison. Oh, but yeah. So basically, you're for it. It's just so long as it's your ideology, your worldview. So you don't have any problem with ideological views and tenets being pushed on people so long as they're the ones that you believe. Meaning moral relativism. Yeah, do whatever you want, as long as it feels good in the moment. No consequences. You can have your cake and eat it too. Apparently not. Apparently not, you smug bastards.
if it works, it works. I would be
Doesn't work.
curious because I think from my perspective and why I believe in monogamy is like, I think internally, like I would be, first of all, there'd be a level of jealousy and yes, a level of fear, right? That they might find a better connection and
Which is exactly what happened.
go that way because relationships always have some amount of difficulty and you could be in a bad spot in your relationship and then, you're forming a bond with somebody else potentially. And then, what if that gets in their head and they see more value in that?
Of course, that was far less likely to happen with Destiny because he's extremely unattractive. He has blue hair. He's a skinny weakling. He's not fit. He doesn't lift weights. He doesn't exercise. He doesn't work out. He sits in front of a computer screen all freaking day. All of these things are why, part and parcel, well, to a certain extent anyway, I think that his wife has some mental issues that I might discuss later on. But that definitely contributes to her wanting to step out on him. But again, she wouldn't get with a guy that wasn't a pathetic, spindly, weakling dork who put her on a pedestal because then she wouldn't have enough power in the relationship. She's a narcissist, bigger one than him, probably. It seems to be the case, which is, surprising in and of itself because he's a big, giant narcissist, just has no self-esteem. And it does, so that doesn't help. So yeah, but she doesn't have enough either, letting herself be passed around. So she doesn't really value herself very much. But yeah, in that scenario, she's gonna have all the power, right?
And they go off in that direction. So
What's the honeymoon stage too, as
right,
far as
things are always great and
I love how these people are trying to present themselves as relationship experts.
wonderful. Your first few times with somebody.
Mhm.
So
well,
that would
we
be
can't
my
speak to
fear.
this though, but that's why I asked Steven, as far as like,
Yeah.
what's your mindset, coming from a,
Well,
you know, is it just more like, okay, like I'm finding another human being that I'm attracted to and
It's like
getting
just
off on them,
sexual.
but just sexual, like there's nothing, besides that.
I mean,
I think much of it had to do with Stephen's ego, which is very small. He has so little self-esteem that his ego is quite tiny, so it doesn't take a lot to feed his ego. And from what I understand, this chick was a humongous fan of his. And the dude that he stole her from, who was also a kook, weakling, beta male, that offered her to him, also a weakling. My understanding is that he told Destiny that she worships him and loves his content. And so it seems that what he wants and desires and needs most is the validation of others, kind of like a woman. Which should explain the blue hair. So it seems like that's what he needs and desires most. Validation, approval, stroking of ego. That, more than anything else, is probably why he got with her. And that also leaves him open to manipulation, which this chick is very good at.
it's a little bit more complicated than that. We can dive into that if you guys really want to head in that direction. This is the only thing that I would say in regards to these types of things, though, or this is something that I would caution everybody for. It's fun to break apart different social norms and see like what can change and like how could your life be different if you do things that are not the way they're normally done. That's really interesting. But I find that a lot.
What, are you treating your life like some kind of laboratory experiment or study? See, this is the problem with people like him. They don't take life very seriously. And I find this is very prevalent among lefties. And the reason they don't take it seriously because nothing in their life has any real meaning. They don't know how to find meaning, and thanks to the powers that be, they probably never will be able to find it. They were never taught what actually has meaning in life. They were never taught about meaning or purpose or legacy and how to achieve it and what has value and what doesn't. No, nothing has value. Everything is totally, completely 100% subjective. And, you can just get there is no meaning, right? Nietzsche, yeah, and just get everything you need in life from the pleasure of the moment and enjoying the material world without any consideration of anything higher and of anything involving legacy. So when you don't have meaning, when you don't have legacy, you don't take life very seriously because you're not invested in anything. So what do you care?
A lot of people that engage in that, they don't always ask the question of why were these social norms for so long to begin with. And I think that's a
Yeah. But you didn't stop to think about that, now did you? If you had stopped to think about that, you would have realized, because they work? Oh, but we're in a modern world now, so human beings have suddenly changed. Evolution takes thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years for humans to adapt to new environmental pressures. They don't change that quickly. There's a reason that monogamous marriage has been the norm. Monogamous pair bonding has been the norm for hundreds of thousands of years. But he doesn't get that, because he likes to overcomplicate things. Unfortunately, what Destiny doesn't understand, because he's really not that intelligent, is that the sign of high IQ and intelligence is the ability to simplify things to the point where even a monkey could understand them. He does the exact opposite to try and seem intelligent, but that's really just overcompensation for a very small, deflated ego.
really important question to ask and answer. I like open relationships. They work for me.
No, they don't. Your wife's going to divorce you. And maybe get half of your stuff from Sweden, where she's living with her new guy.
But I would say that like 99% of people are probably better off in monogamous relationships because that's just, I think, how most people are wired. I noticed today that it feels like and it might just be because of the community I'm in, but it feels like a lot of people are doing open relationships today. Like a lot. I just feel like I almost feel like it's, I don't want to say it's the norm, but it's like, it doesn't even surprise me anymore. So it's like, oh yeah, we're open. And it's like, yeah, of course you are. Everybody seems to be. That's probably not a good thing.
I love the way he derisively looked. This is so amusing to me. He looks down on other people who are in the exact same relationship he's in because they're not mentally equipped. They're not smart enough, analytical enough. They're too emotional to be able to handle it like him. Yeah.
I feel like most of these people probably are going to run into huge problems.
But not me.
But that's just my feeling on it. Yeah.
The funny thing is he's mostly, if not all, about feelings. Everything that drives him, including this need to win, is all about feelings. Destiny is really a sophist who pretends to be a logical individual. He's not.
You think that has to do with the
Do you not have
environment?
a territorial instinct?
No, but I'm a really atypical person. Like I've lived my life on the internet for the past like 12 years in like the most like hateful fucking communities in existence. So I think that a lot of the like inclinations that I have towards like normal human behavior are like just way different. Like I have access to a whole bunch of people, and I've got like a ton of shit that I can do with my life at all points in time. If I ever felt like my partner wanted somebody else, then they're free to go do their thing, and I'll just either find somebody else or just keep working or whatever. Like I'm like a very like self-driven person. Like I don't really need like the external support or validation from my partner a lot.
I'm so smart and analytical that I am totally lacking in self-awareness, and if my partner leaves me, I'll just continue the same mistakes I made that led to this relationship failing. Yeah. Brilliant.
But that's just how I personally feel about things.
You just said a lot without saying anything. What do you personally feel about things? He's purposely non-specific so he can't be called to task later on, because the last thing that a narcissist like him wants is to be proven wrong.
And I wouldn't recommend it to anybody
That's why most of the things he says are just stating the obvious in a complex way, right?
else. I don't even know if it's necessarily like healthy or the best approach to life. It's just how I personally process things.
Okay, if that's the case, and
That means nothing.
there's like,
Oh, it's just specific to me. Very different from everybody else. Apparently not. Apparently you have the same issues with the same types of flawed approaches to relationships that everybody else has. So you're not special at all. Destiny.
you know, no, like sort of, it sounded like what you were saying there is that there's like no investment minimum like required. If that's the case, then
Well, I wouldn't say
what's
there's
the-
no investment. I mean, like
There absolutely is no investment. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, you're putting time, energy, and resources, so there's investment on your part. The problem is, and why people call you a kook boy, which is what you are, and look at what you do in a negative manner, and why it's considered negative is because traditionally, and even today, women want a dude that provides resources. And you have been providing a home, you've been providing support, money, food, clothes, you've been supporting her. Supposedly this chick has a huge online presence now, largely thanks to Destiny promoting her. She makes a bank online now, so, you know, she doesn't need Destiny anymore. And so why would she stick around? She didn't invest anything. Now, he invested quite a bit. So definitely investment on his part, but not on hers, which is part and parcel why she left him. Not the only reason, obviously, but a big part of it.
me and my partner love each other. Like I don't think we're gonna like break up because of our.
I don't think we're going to break up because of choosing to be in an open marriage, which isn't a marriage, which is why it fails.
Relationship. Like if I felt like that was a possibility, like if I was, let's say for some reason I found a woman that I really loved and she was like kind of a more monogamous minded person.
So this is the problem. Destiny, let's be honest, he's ugly. He is an unattractive man. I would rate him at best a 3. Now, he makes a good living, so maybe that brings him up to average. His girlfriend is 2 to 3 points above him in looks. Minimally. Maybe more. And that's what men value. And she's young and she's fertile. So she has a lot more options. So him finding another broad that's going to be monogamously minded when chicks these days are looking for like the top 5%. He's short, by the way. I don't think he's over 6 feet. Maybe he is, but I don't know. But he doesn't have all the sixes. That's for sure. He's missing quite a few. And since women are looking for guys that have all the sixes, and in many cases all the sevens, and at the same time, he has very high standards, and he's not going to date an average broad. Where's he going to find this chick that is monogamously minded? I don't see it happening. Unless she's like his age or older, and she's now finally ready to settle down with the Beta Buck Deluxe dude. And in that case, he's not going to want her because she's going to have a lot of baggage, and she's not going to be as attractive, and she's not going to be fertile. Or she might have already had a couple kids. So, yeah, good luck, Destiny.
And I felt like that for some reason, I was like, holy shit, maybe I'll give up like my kind of lifestyle for this. I'd be more likely to give it up than push her into it if I think that I'm going to like lose her because it's just not how her brain is wired. Like I think I'd be like, okay, well, we'll just both be monogamous then, I guess.
I love his language. Lose her. Yeah.
If you just said that, like, if she's having fun with somebody else, then, you know, you're just going to be self-driven in that instance and focus on work, focus on your friends or hobbies, anything you have going on in your life at the moment.
Well, why would you then why would you be with her in the first place? This is something else he doesn't get. You're not getting anything out of it. She doesn't have your children. She's not keeping a home. It doesn't look like. I mean, I'm sure she does the bare minimum there, as she does the bare minimum in the bedroom as well. What exactly are you getting in return for all of your investment, Destiny? I mean, investments are supposed to generate a return. Instead, she seems to be just this black hole of need where there's no quid pro quo.
You know, that shows that like you're not even phased with the level of investment that she's giving or you're giving at the moment in time. So my question is, like, what's
Of course not. He doesn't hold himself in high enough esteem, which requires self-esteem. And he tries to play it off like he just doesn't care, right? But the real problem is he doesn't value himself enough. And just imagine what this guy did. He traveled to a foreign country. He spent probably in excess of $5,000, maybe more. I mean, short notice, plane ticket. I think he flew economy or coach or whatever, or business class. Maybe he flew first class, maybe he flew business class. But round trip ticket to Sweden on short notice, stayed for what, a week or two? $4,000 or $5,000 just to meet some rando broad. Some rando broad in another country who really was at that time pretty mediocre in the way she presented herself physically. Why? Why? Oh, because she adored him. She loved his content, loved everything about him. Oh, she worshipped the ground he walked on, and that got him to jump on a plane, to travel to another country for what could have been a scam. They could have been trolls, just catfishing him. They could have been just trolls gaming him, messing with him. Maybe they were nut jobs who were looking to set him up and bonk him on the head the moment they met him and took him back to their hotel room for some, spicy times and rob him of all his stuff. Maybe they're serial killers and they hog tie him and do horrible things before they dispose of him. He doesn't know. All of these potential risks, but this guy took them just to meet some chick and bang her. Imagine the desperation this guy Destiny must have. Imagine the desire he has for love, for approval, for validation. Imagine what kind of gaping maw, pit, abyss, hole of desperation and vacuous loneliness he must possess within his being to go through all of that and those potential risks and spend all that money and all that time just to meet some rando broad because she strokes his ego a little bit. That's pathetic. I almost feel sorry for him, but I don't feel sorry for him.
the difference between the situation that you're in as opposed to just being fuck buddies? Like, because it sounds identical to me.
I think it does. I'll answer that question, but I always like to flip that question around. People always say that, like, if you're
I'm going to confuse the issue now, muddy the waters, and shift the goalposts, right? To avoid the issue primarily. Because we are just fuck buddies sometimes. Essentially paying a hooker. Yeah. Yeah. For not even getting sex from her. Or loyalty.
doing this, aren't you just fuck buddies? But then,
Yes.
like, my reverse question, I was always like, are you telling
Oh, you're answering a question with a question. You're not going to answer the actual question. You're just kind of try and shift the focus and reframe the argument.
me that the only thing that makes your relationship different than a friendship is that you exclusively fuck?
Yes. But no, I mean, there are a number of differences between a relationship and a friendship that you don't seem to understand, okay? Trust, loyalty, duty, obligation to each other, investment, a whole bunch of things that you don't get. And that investment is not just sexually via the transaction of monogamous sex and relationship being just between you and the other person, and that builds up an investment as well. There are other forms of investment: emotional investment, monetary investment, time investment, children. Oh, hello! Notice he doesn't mention that at all, which is the main reason that marriage exists. He didn't even want to touch that one.
Because that's kind of what I hear when people ask that question. They're like, well, if you're having sex with other people, then your relationship isn't real. And it's like, is the only thing that makes your relationship real the fact that you only have sex with each other?
No, but to make this, all or nothing kind of representation is false. It's incorrect. It's not everything that makes it a relationship, but it's certainly an important part.
But I understand that it's a little bit more complicated. Of course, it's just a way to flip the question around.
Well, it's a little more complicated. That's a way to flip the question, right? I just said a lot without saying anything. And I shifted the argument, the goalpost, and I muddied the waters. So now you're not really going to talk about that anymore, but we're going to discuss something else, or what I shifted the goalpost to.
The way that I view it is that there are like certain people in my life that are really special that I prioritize.
So totally, completely different argument he's now making and addressing.
Over other people. For my wife, like, she's my number one priority. If she wants to,
She's your number one priority, really. Mm-hmm. As you spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day on the computer playing video games and streaming and banging other broads, if she gives you permission.
live somewhere, we're going to live where she wants to live. I'm not moving in with another girl, right? If they're
So you're going to live where she wants to live. So you're the primary breadwinner. You're the man also, which is supposed to make you the leader, but she seems to be doing all the leading, and she decides when you get to have sex, or she has total control over you, because you are totally, completely controlled, it seems, by your loins. So, yeah, you're living a very unnatural life.
some like super special, awesome thing that I really want to do, like I really want to go to Tokyo at some point, I just haven't traveled yet, but when I do that, it's almost for sure going to be with her. Like when it
Almost for sure, yeah. Like the 6 months that she's spent in Sweden now without you, living with another dude. And she's divorcing you.
comes to like, if like,
Oh, but he says that he's divorcing her. Yeah, I love the cope.
if I've got like a friend that's really sad, that's like a fuck buddy or something, and like my wife is really sad, like I'm not going to ditch my wife and be like, yo, I'm going to go hang out with this other girl, like she needs me right now, sorry. Like that.
What the hell does this have to do with the original question? Aren't you two just F buddies? He's totally... See what he does? He shifts the goalpost, changes the argument, and now he's arguing something else, and he gets you kind of entwined into this argument. He makes things overly complex, and he just spins an entirely different narrative that now you're going to address that, and now you've forgotten about your original question.
That would never happen, you know? So like there's a feeling that I have because she's my wife and she's like my priority and she's the person that I love the most. It doesn't mean that I can't like enjoy fucking other people.
No, that's not love. You can't enjoy or even want to be with someone else if you loved her. I don't understand why he doesn't understand this. I don't get it. It's definitely has something to do with this guy's childhood and his upbringing, for sure.
Enjoy like hanging out with other people. She still gets like that kind of priority slot in my life, I guess. It kind of be like it's like having like, just because I have it's a weird comparison, but like I have a best friend, but I also have other friends too, if that makes sense.
Your mate, your wife, she's not his wife, by the way. They're not in a marriage. I don't care what he says. Is not your friend. That's not your friend. Friend is a very different. That's a false. That's a categorization fallacy. You are conflating categories. Friends are very different from wives. Well, they're supposed to be anyway. That's the problem here. They are just F buddies. He just admitted it. She's my best friend. Then you're F buddies.
Sorry, it's kind of a weird. I understand that like the open relationship shit is like very wild and weird for a lot of people, which is fine. I understand it, but
Yeah, no, no one's judging here. We're just trying to get insight and
okay.
understanding.
I want to be judged. Okay.
Nobody's judging here. No, I want to be judged. No, you don't. If you wanted to be judged, you would actually answer the questions that were asked of you instead of shifting the goalpost to totally different questions that were never asked and changing the subject and spinning a new narrative and going on and on and on so people forget about the question that was actually asked because you're too uncomfortable to address it because you know that that question is right on the money and you are just F buddies. And there is no real relationship there and there is no real investment. So you're just coping and everybody on the right, all the red pillars were correct about you.
Okay. So, no, I'm just fine.
So that's it. So, all the mouth breathing, yes men, interviewers just nodded their heads and went along like a CNN interviewer interviewing Joe Biden. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Destiny talking about and trying to justify his blue-pilled, beta male, kook boy lifestyle. So what do you think? Is this working for him? No. Do you think Destiny is just a low IQ dude who is extremely insecure, suffering from a tiny ego and tiny you-know-what syndrome, and everything he does and all his debate me bro tactics and all him wanting to get into debates with other people is just a way to overcompensate for his very small ego and his lack of self-esteem? Or do you think this guy is the big bad in the debate me bro sphere that he thinks he is, and he's so intelligent, so smart, and that the open relationship, that not working out, that was just a blip on the radar. But that was just, because they didn't do it quite right. They didn't get the formula quite right. Just like socialism could work. But all those 100 countries plus that tried it, and it failed. That just wasn't real socialism. And his open relationship, not marriage, it just failed because that wasn't a real poly relationship. And we just haven't developed the correct alchemy yet to make it work. But that alchemy exists, and we can find it. We just need to keep experimenting. But let me know what you think in the comment section. And please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Then click the notification bell because, the content that I produce and the things I talk about, YouTube isn't too keen on me doing so. So maybe you won't get a notification. Even if you do click that notification bell, maybe you still won't see my video. Maybe you still won't get a notification in your feed, but at least you're much more likely to have that happen if you click the notification bell. And also, don't forget to follow me on Alt Tech. You'll see the links to my Alt Tech platforms at the top of the screen. I am the Realist Philosopher on both of those platforms. And also, please consider donating to my Patreon. It's really hard to get support, especially for the subjects I discuss. And I know there's a lot of people in this sphere making content, but I hope you appreciate the raw, real, brutally true way and the critical and analytical way that I analyze these subjects with a touch of humor, sometimes dark. So if you appreciate that, consider making a donation. Anyhow, that's it. I wish you well, and until next time, take care.